Hey guys, Vox here, and today we're going to be going over traits. Alright, so when you open up your trait window, you're going to find 5 trait lines here. You're going to see Marksmanship, Skirmishing, Wilderness Survival, Nature Magic, and Beast Mastery. Now, the way traits work is, as you can see in the in this leftish column right here, you get bonuses to your stats depending on how many points you put in. As you can see, I've got kind of a funny little build going on, so I'm only getting, 200 extra power and 200 extra precision, that kind of stuff. But, it's good to know that these increase your stats by a little bit. When you get 5 points into a trait line, you'll get a passive, and when you get 10, you'll get an extra passive that you can actually choose, and that continues all the way to the end. Now, the way we're going to do this today is that I'm going to go through marksmanship first and show you the different levels here of how many you get and, explain those. But as we get further in after marksman, we're just going to go straight to the 31 and we'll talk about all the selectables that you can choose then. Alright, so for marksmanship, the first one you're going to be able to get is Opening Strike, which causes vulnerability. Pretty good if you want a little bit extra damage at the beginning of a fight, because as we know, vulnerability causes a 1% increase in damage the enemy takes with each stack of it. So, pretty cool to have a little bit extra damage going out. Now, when you get 10 points in, you'll be able to choose 6 different skills. It actually moves the one you chose up to the top instead of highlighting it, which is kind of confusing at first, but you'll get used to it. Alright, the first one you can do is Steady Focus, increases your damage by 10% when your endurance is full. This one I tend to avoid because there's another trait in one of the other trees that I use where it grants you protection when you dodge, so my endurance is rarely full on there, so I just don't use it. And the next one is Malicious Training, increases the duration for conditions applied by your pets. As far as I'm concerned, conditions run out fast enough, and regardless of the duration, so I just don't really worry about it. And my pets don't really have any long-lasting conditions anyway. The third one you can get is Keen Eye or Keen Edge. Sharpening Stone when your health reaches 75%. This would be pretty cool if you're a close quarters fighter using, a sword or a great sword. But otherwise, not quite for me. Alright, the fourth one is Signet Mastery. Your signets are charged 20% faster. If you happen to enjoy popping the signets and getting their boons, go for it. It's good to have the extra boost there. And the fifth one is Predator's Instinct. You apply Cripple to foes when they are below 25% health. This is the one I run with. I love it because for those enemies that like to run away or think they're going someplace, this slows them down and lets you take them out really quick and really easily. And the final one in Adept is the Beastmaster's Bond. You gain Fury and Might when your pet's health reaches 25%. I try to keep my pet's health as full as possible, so this is not one that I'm really a fan of. If my pet's dying, then I feel like I'm doing something wrong, or we're just in a really bad situation. So, up to you. If you use your pet to gain boons, which there are traits for that kind of stuff like this, it's pretty good. Roll with it. All right. So the next one on your list is your master level. And when you get 15 points in, you get Alpha Training. Your pets have Opening Strike, so they get to cause some vulnerability too. Pretty good stuff. Alright, and when you get into this, you'll be able to get a few more, another 4 passives you can choose. Spotter, which increases your allies' precision by up to 70 points. Pretty good for helping your team do a bit of extra damage. It's always nice. The one I'm rolling with, Piercing Arrows, which lets you literally pierce targets with arrows. Your arrows will go right through them and hit something behind them. The only drawback to this is that it's very easy, if you're not careful, to actually pull something you didn't mean to pull. But if you have, if you can get stuff lined up, it makes it really easy to cause a lot of damage to a lot of enemies really quickly. So, if that's something you want to do, definitely go for it. Your next one is Beastmaster's Might, activating a signet grants might. This, pretty self-explanatory. If you like popping signets, this will give you might. Eagle Eye increases longbow and harpoon gun range and damage. I hate longbows, so this is pretty useless to me. I love the harpoon gun, but I can't stand longbows. If you like them, go for it. Alright, in the Grandmaster tree for marksman, when you put 25 points in, you get precise strike. Opening strike always critical hits. So you open with a nice big boost of damage. So definitely really good to, if you're going for damage. And with these ones, you'll get the final two that you can choose. Signet of the Beastmaster, active effects of signets also affect you. So if you pop one that causes your pet to get really big, guess what? You're going to get really big too, and you're going to do more damage. Whatever the signet does when you pop it, you'll be able to do it too, not just your pet. And Remorseless, regain open strikes when you kill a foe. So this will pretty much keep you going, with your opening strikes causing vulnerability and critical hits every time you change targets or get to a new target, that is. So pretty good if you're wanting to just buzzsaw through stuff. Alright, so when you come down to skirmishing, you'll notice that the stat increases go for precision and critical damage. And when you get 5 points into it, you get Tailwind, gain swiftness when swapping weapons in combat. Pretty cool if you like being very mobile. And when you get 15 points in, you'll get Furious Grip. You gain Fury when swapping weapons in combat. At 25 points in, you'll get Hunter's Tactics. You deal 10 more damage while flanking, so if you have the monster, facing your pet, and if it works like D&D rules, if you're at its side or behind it, you'll be doing some extra damage. I'm imagining it's probably if you're behind it. I don't know for sure. Alright, so your selectable skills. The first one is Pet's Prowess. Pets do 30% more damage on critical hits. Sharpened Edges, chance to cause bleeding on critical hits. As you can see, this is one that I've got selected. I love doing bleeds, so roll with that. Trapper's Defense, create a spike trap when reviving an ally. The fourth one is Primal Reflexes. You gain 5 seconds of vigor when you're struck by a critical hit, and it can only trigger once every 15 seconds. Pretty good stuff right there, But how often are you really going to get hit by critical hits? If you're trying to stay out of it, probably not too often. Companion's Might, critical hits grant might to your pets. Very good if you want your pets to be very damage heavy. Like if you're using the feline pets, maybe like I do. I love my Jaguar. He's awesome. The next one is Agility Training. Pets move 30% faster. I don't really see much of a point in making the pet move all that much faster. They're pretty speedy on their own. Your next one, Carnivorous Appetite. Pet gains health on critical hits. This is great if you're using, the feline or any pet family that's big on critical hits. That way they have a little more tankiness and makes them a little more durable. Alright, and your next one is Trapper's Expertise. Trap skills use ground targeting and are 50% larger. I did go and check this one out just to see how it worked, and it still hasn't really changed my opinion of traps all that much. Still not a huge fan of them. It is pretty cool to be able to lob traps and, hit enemies with them, but I still think there are a few more things that are a bit more useful. And your next one is Honed Axes. You do 10% more critical damage when wielding an axe in your main hand. That's pretty cool, but I don't know how often axes crit when I'm using mine. It doesn't seem like it's often enough to really warrant this taking up one of my passive slots. Your next one is Quick Draw. Short bow and long bow skills recharge 20% faster. Really awesome. I like this one, but as you can see, I've chosen other things because of the way I've got this build going. But if you want to be just shooting stuff nonstop, This will definitely help. Trap potency. Conditions caused by traps last twice as long, and traps recharge 20% faster. Again, if you're big on traps, definitely go for it. It can help you out a bit. And the final one is Moment of Clarity. Gain an attack of opportunity for you and your pet on interrupt. This effect can only trigger once every 5 seconds. The only thing I can see this being incredibly useful with are things like the longbow and the shortbow, where they've got particular skills that will cause interrupts. So, um, you know, it's not bad at all. Definitely gets you doing more damage. So, yeah, if that's your thing, roll with it. Alright, so your next trait line is Wilderness Survival. This one increases your toughness and your condition damage. This is pretty much what you're going to want to roll with if you're going for a tanky build, which I might actually try. That sounds kind of cool. Alright, so when you get 5 points in, you get Natural Vigor, increases endurance regeneration by 50%. That's pretty cool because, as I've said before, there's a trait that I use that gives extra protection every time you dodge. And with this, makes it a little easier to dodge more often. Your next one is Companion's Defense. You and your pet gain 2 seconds of protection when you dodge roll. That's the one I was talking about. Pretty cool. It's not too bad, not too shabby. And when you get 25 points in, you're at peak strength. Deal 5% extra damage when your health is above 90%. This it's pretty good if you're hanging back and trying to range it up. Then this will be pretty good for you, keeping a little bit extra damage, I guess. Alright, and the skills you can choose start with Soften the Fall. You create muddy terrain when you fall, and you take 50% less damage. If you're clumsy or have an affinity for jumping off things, this is probably good for you. I myself am pretty butter-footed when it comes to running along cliffs and tend to fall flat on my face, but it doesn't happen often enough that I would warrant this. Excuse me. And your second one is Healer's Celerity? That's not a word I'm familiar with. But it grants swiftness to you and your ally when you revive someone, so that you can revive them and get the hell out of there. Alright, as you can see, Shared Ambush, incoming disables, all that are launched there, you can go ahead and pause the video and read them, are transferred to the pet, and this effect can only trigger once every 90 seconds. When you get into some of the higher level areas where stuff like that is a lot more common, it's probably a good idea to run with this, just for the sake of being able to maintain your outgoing damage and keeping control of yourself. Alright, your next one is Vigorous Renewal. Gain vigor when using a heal skill, so you'll be able to recharge your endurance faster and heal yourself. Not too shabby, I guess. Alright, Expertise Training. Pets deal extra condition damage. I really don't look to my pets to be doing the condition damage to begin with. That falls on me. They're there to tank and just do regular damage, so if you got your pet, if you're spec'd really hardcore for your pet, yeah, go with it. Wilderness Knowledge. Survival skills recharge 20% faster. There's really not much to say beyond that. Skills recharge faster. Offhand Training. Offhand skills have a longer range and 20% quicker recharge. Yeah, this is pretty awesome if you use something like daggers in your offhand, because can't remember what it's called, the one on the 5 key. That is awesome. That's an awesome opener for the dagger. So being able to have a little bit extra range and being able to use it a little more often is definitely worth it. Alright, and your next one is Oakheart Salve. Gain regeneration for 5 seconds when you suffer from bleeding, poison, or burning. This can only trigger once every 20 seconds. This would be a nice way to kind of negate any of those, really. So, if you're looking for some more survivability, there you go. Alright, and your next one on there is Hide in Plain Sight. You apply camouflage when you are dazed, knocked down, launched, pushed back, or stunned. And it can only affect once every 30 seconds, or trigger once every 30 seconds. So, pretty much you go invisible and can kind of hide and collect yourself and figure out what you're going to do from there. And the other one is Martial Mastery, Sword, Great Sword, and Spear skills recharge 20% faster. That one's actually on on my selection because I was playing around with the sword the other day, and weapons are the next video, so we'll get into that stuff next time. But anyway, yeah, I was using that. It's pretty cool. All right, so your 11th one is Empathetic Bond. Pets periodically take conditions from you. Pretty good if you're this is probably more useful for people who like to be up close and personal, again, you know, swords and great swords and whatnot. So if that's your thing, this is probably pretty good for you. I'd say it's one of those things, if you're using a bear pet, something that can really soak up the damage, this is probably something you might want to try. And for the 12th one, you have Bark Skin. You and your pet take 30% less damage when under 25% health. So if you and your pet are acting as tanks for whatever you're doing, this is probably something you want to roll with, because it'll keep you alive just long enough, maybe for, you know, if your entire team completely got wiped and you're still standing, this probably give them time to get back there and, you know, let you rest and relax, get back on your feet. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, go for it. Alright, so for your next trait line, you'll find Nature Magic, which increases your vitality and the duration of boons that you get. When you're 5 points in, you gain regeneration when your health reaches 75%. This will be great if you're going with a tanky build, and you can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want. And when you get 15 points in, any boon you get is shared with your pet. This is pretty cool. You know, if you got a guardian in your party and they use Save Yourself, I'm not sure if this applies to the whole party, because I'm not really all that knowledgeable about guardians just yet, but you know, if it does and your pet's not near enough to get it, they'll still get it. If anybody does know about that, you know, please go ahead, leave a comment, let me know. I would love to be educated on that. And your next one is Bountiful Hunter. You and your pet deal 5% more damage while you have a boon. I am not sure if this actually stacks per boon, but that would be pretty ridiculously awesome. So, but still, a little bit of extra damage, not too bad. Now, when you get into skills that you can select, you get Circle of Life, so you can create a healing spring when you die. Great way to flip the bird to the enemy as you drop, so your allies can come in and beat them down while being healed. And then you have Concentration Training. Boons applied by your pets last longer. Nothing wrong with this, especially if you're going with if you're using a MOA, then you can get some real nice durations out of their boons. Alright, then you have the Nature's Bounty. Regeneration you apply lasts 33% longer. Nothing wrong with that. Alright, so the 4th one is Vigorous Spirits. Spirits have twice as much health. This is really good. It goes in conjunction with some of the later ones in Nature Magic. But, you know, I've almost rethought my stance on spirits after some of these selectable skills in Nature Magic, but you'll see why in a little bit. So yeah, spirits twice as much health, good stuff. Means you're getting boons longer. Strength of Spirit, 5% of vitality is given as a bonus to power. This means that whatever your vitality score is, 5% of it goes straight into you being able to do damage. That sounds pretty good to me. Alright, your next one is Nature's Protection. Receive protection for 5 seconds when you take more than 20% damage in a single strike. This effect can only trigger once every 30 seconds. This sounds like it would be most useful if you're fighting some big, nasty world boss that can really put a hurting on you. So, if you're I guess, part of a Zerg that does that kind of thing regularly, this might be worth your time. So definitely keep it in mind. And your next one is Nature's Vengeance. Activated skills of spirits are larger and trigger when the spirit is killed. So your spirit drops dead, then hey, you get a larger radius and another boon from them. Not too bad. Spiritual knowledge. Spirit bonuses have 15% better chance of providing their benefits. So um, instead of 20%, you get 35%. It's a little over a third. Not too bad, you know? Alright, two-handed training. Great sword and spear damage is increased by 5%. 5%, woohoo. Not really a big fan. Alright, enlargement. Pets get enlarged when you reach 25% health. I imagine this would be good, to get your pet a bit tougher, a bit more health, and to do a bit more damage. So, the only part that kind of worries me is that 25% health. That's just kind of low, and I would usually be trying to hang back if my health got that low, but that's probably because I'm not geared or spec'd for tanking. Here's one of the skills I was talking about, Spirits Unbound. Spirits can move and follow you. That's awesome. That pretty much negates the whole thing about, well, they're kind of stuck in one place, makes them kind of useless. No, now they follow you. So that plus their health and the other one for when they die, awesome stuff. Alright, and Evasive Purity. Dodging removes blind and poison from you. 10 seconds cooldown. I don't find myself getting poisoned that often, and blind even less. So, I, if you find yourself in that position where this stuff does happen to you regularly, yeah, I guess go for it. Alright, so for our final trait line, we have Beast Mastery, which increases healing and pet attributes. Which, that's just awesome right there. It makes your pet stronger, gives them a better ability to crit, gives them more health, makes them tougher. Great stuff. And when you get 5 points in, you get Zephyr Speed. You and your pet gain 2 seconds of quickness when you swap pets. Come to think of it, I don't recall that ever actually happening. I wonder if that's bugged. Anyway, you get 15 points in. Pet swapping recharges 20% faster. I'd say this is probably good if you run 2 pets that you use for damage, like a hyena and maybe one of the felines or a bird, something that's not that sturdy. Because this way you can swap them out right before they get killed and not really have to worry about the cooldown so much. Alright, then you get Nature's Wrath. 10% healing is given as a bonus to power. So, yeah, this is kind of like the one we went over in Nature Magic, I think it was, where you get more attacks because of your healing, or you get more damage because of your healing. Pretty cool. Alright, so for the skills you can choose, you get Speed Training. Pets recharge their skills 10% faster. This one I don't really think much of, just for the fact that my pets seem to do just fine without the extra 10%, so I'm not too worried about it. There's usually so much stuff going on that, I have to focus on with my own character that I just not really too worried about it. And as you can see, our next one is Master's Bond. This is the one that I go with all the time. I always reserve 10 points for Beast Mastery for this, regardless of what the rest of the build is. Just for the fact that your pet has a bond with you that increases its attributes each time you kill a foe. When it is defeated or deactivated, the bond is reset. Now, what this does is it actually increases all of your pet's attributes. And if you click your pet and see their life bar, like when you highlight a person or an NPC, you can see their little portrait in their life bar and all that stuff, you can actually see how many stacks this your pet's got, and it'll make them stronger, tougher, more crits, all that kind of stuff. But if they get knocked out, you lose it. If you have to swap pets, they lose it. So that's really the only downside. The next one is Shoutmaster. Your shouts recharge 20% faster. Not really a whole lot to say about that. Pretty self-explanatory. All right, and compassion training. Pets heal for more. If you've got a pet that does heals, then, or maybe it's the health they take. That's kind of unclear. I'm gonna go and say that it's probably pets doing heals, but I can't really think of any that actually put out heals aside from maybe regeneration. All right, your next one is commanding voice. Pet skills recharge faster, so your F2 skills on your pets will recharge a bit faster. That's not too bad unless you're using one of the pets that's got something like a 45-second cooldown, which I think one of the bears has a 45-second cooldown, and the power's not even that good. I think it's the polar bear, but you know, that's kind of irrelevant. Next one is Mighty Swap. Pets gain 3% or 3 stacks of might for 10 seconds when they're activated. This is pretty good if if one of your pets gets knocked out and or is close to being knocked out and you need to swap them out real fast, because your next one will come in with all kinds of angry power from having to go to work and being woken up and stuff. Anyway, rending attacks. Drake, Feline, Devourer, and Shark pets bleed on critical hit with their basic attacks. Not too bad. Um, I mean, the felines are really, really good at critting. I guess the Drakes are too. Never really thought of them as the high crit type, but there you go. Not too bad. There'll be some extra bleeds. Alright, so stability training. Ursine, Porcine, and Armorfish pets gain stability for 3 seconds when disabled. Um, so pretty much they'll just be harder to knock down. Your bears, your pigs, and your Armorfish. Alright, intimidation training. Activated abilities for canines and spiders cause cripple. Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Not a whole lot to say about it. Vigorous training. Moa, bird, and jellyfish pits grant AoE vigor for 5 seconds when activated. So they kind of, they come into the battlefield and you get vigor. Cool. Your endurance recharges faster then. Nice. Instinctual bond. When you are down, your pet gains quickness for 5 seconds, and there's a 50-second cooldown. I don't really see how these two are tied together, but I mean, unless you're trying to get your pet to come rescue you, but really not too sure what the real purpose of this one is. All right, your next one is natural healing. Your pets have natural health regeneration. So if if you decided to go for kind of a, I guess 30-30-30, or a 30 here and a 30 in nature magic, and maybe 10 in wilderness survival, you'd probably have a very, very tanky pet and a very tanky yourself, which is always a good thing. All right, guys, so that has been an overview of the traits. Next time we're going to be going over weapons. Hopefully it doesn't take me forever and a day to get that video out like it did with this one. So we'll just have to see, but we'll be going over every single weapon the ranger can use and every single weapon skill, and we'll be showing them off and just giving you a look at them. So there's Philip down at the bottom of the screen. Hi, Philip. uh, Anyway, I will see you guys next time.